Good evening, everybody, and thank you for joining me for another video. Joe here with Tool Gun and Armory, and today's video is going to be on metalworking fundamentals. This is a timed video assignment for FTT106 at Sonoran Desert Institute. My name is Joseph Marshall. It is 7:25 p.m. on July 11th, 2026. If you like this video, be sure to check out my others. Also, like, comment, subscribe. It's the best way we all grow together. And with that being said, let's get started. The first part of this video is to demonstrate how to properly use a hacksaw to cut through metal. Now, when using a hacksaw, you want both hands on the hacksaw just like this, and you want to make long, smooth cuts, just like so. This not only helps you keep the blade straight, ensuring as precise of a cut as possible, but also if you're just making short, choppy cuts, you're only wearing down one part of the blade, and it's going to reduce the life of the blade overall. So you want to make sure to keep that precise cut by using as much of the blade as you possibly can. You want to make sure that the blade is tight enough to where it's not going to pop out, it's not going to be too loose to where it's actually damaging the cut you're trying to make. But you don't want it too tight to where you're actually damaging the blade of the hacksaw. Made a nice smooth cut that's straight and precise, and that is how to properly use a hacksaw. Next, we're going to talk about proper file usage and maintenance. With proper file usage, it's a lot like using the hacksaw. You have two hands, you have your pressure hand and your control hand, and you're making long, smooth strokes with that file. This is going to mitigate the risk of rocking or your file going wherever it wants to and creating uneven material removal. On the forward stroke, you're actually removing material, so more pressure, and relax it on the way back so you don't damage the teeth. Not flush with the rest of this piece of scrap metal. And so what we're gonna do is we're gonna remove that material and make this flat all the way across. All right, so now we have this all flat all the way across the top. With maintenance, you're going to want to see where your teeth are. In this case, this is a double cut file, so you have teeth operating in a crisscross manner, as you can see here. And you're going to want to take your file card. In this case, I'm just using a stainless steel brush, and you're going to want to go with the teeth to remove some of that material. So what you're doing here is you're going with the teeth and you are removing all those metal shavings that you have just removed from your piece of metal that you're working with. And you want to go the other way as well. Just like so. Proper file storage is important. Most file sets come in some sort of packaging like so. And it is easy enough to go ahead and put the file back in its slot and roll the package back up. Moving on to sanding, we're going to be sanding the words off of this right here. And how we're going to do that is by using progressive grits of sandpaper. Different grits do different things. Starting with the 80. All of the finish from this piece right here. And if you get a good look at it, it is still very much scratchy. Now we're going to move into the smoothing grit, which is going to be the 180, and we're going to continue. All right, now that we've finished that 180, you can see that a lot of those imperfections have started becoming smoothed out, and there's a lot less of those blemishes. I'm going to move up to the finishing grit, which is going to be this 400, and continue. All right, so now you can see it is becoming far more mirrored after that 400 grit finishing. And now we're gonna move on to the 600 polishing. And this should give it a nice mirrored finish on this metal. All right, so now we have that nice mirror finish on here. And obviously grits go all the way up to 2, 3, 4,000 and even higher than that. And the finer the grit, the more mirror-like it will become. But that is how you use progressive grits to achieve a desired result. So the final part of this video is to take this aluminum block that has layout dye already applied on it, and I'm going to be drawing an angled edge, a straight edge, a radius edge, and then 6 different holes for different size drill bits. And in order to do this, we'll be using some layout tools. I'm going to be using a center punch and hammer. We're going to be using a caliper, and then I'm going to be using a square. Okay, so now that the project's done, we have an angled edge down here, we have a straight edge, and then a radius edge up here. We also have 6 holes for different size drill bit, and then we have our 45 over here, and that is going to be 41 thou. For the angled edge, I would use a larger, coarser toothed file. That'll allow me to remove more material and really get that angled shape to it. For the radius edge, I would do the same thing for the first part of it to get most of this corner material off. And then once I got down to where I really needed the precision, I would move to a finer file, maybe needle files or whatnot, to be able to really get that precision in there. Typically for a straight edge, I would use a hacksaw to get that nice straight line. And then for the drill bits, I would actually use a hand drill so I could have that precision and control. The order in which I would perform these cuts is I would do the straight edge first, and then I would do the radius edge, because the radius stops at where the straight edge is, and I'll get to that in a second. Then I would do the angled edge. Once I was able to lay it flat with all those major cuts complete, then I would drill out the different holes. But it is important to do it in this setup because you're not stepping all over yourself. You're working from one aspect to the next and it's more fluid and flowing. One of the biggest things that could happen if you were to go out of place, say do the radius first, is the radius. If you did the radius first, it would leave this straight edge with a curve on both sides, both the angled edge and the radius edge. And so it would be very difficult to get the hacksaw in there and placed where it needs to be and cut where it needs to be off of a curve. After shaping and drilling, I would use sandpaper in a sponge-like configuration because it really allows you to get in those curves and apply pressure where you need it to really get that precise edge that you're looking for. And then once all that work was done, I would then take a rotary tool with buffing pads and some sort of polishing compound like Flitz, and I would get that real nice finish to make it more aesthetically pleasing to the customer for the final product. That brings us to the end of this video. Once again, my name is Joe with Tool Gun and Armory. It was awesome being able to do this video for you, and I'll catch you next time.